Today we are here with Ms. Nicole Bauer, who is a licensed professional counselor and also a certified ADHD clinical provider here in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Ms. Bauer, I have a couple of questions for you concerning mental health, specifically in your area of expertise, which is ADHD, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So my first question for you is there a difference in how many people are diagnosed with ADHD today as opposed to 10 years ago?
I don't know the specific statistic, but I do know that they're able to identify more people now because there's a lot of research being done right now for ADHD. They're realizing that they've kind of missed the mark as far as the different demographics that they looked in before. Before they used to think, well, back 10, 20, 30 years ago, they used to think it was primarily a disorder that affected young males. Occasionally a girl. I'm 42, I was diagnosed at 6, so I did look like that kind of hyperactive crazy kid. But typically it was a diagnosis for young boys. Now they're realizing that it affects quite a few more people than they thought, and that it's an actual kind of just miswiring of the brain, so to speak. So once you have it, if you have it as a child, you're going to have it throughout adulthood. You just learn to adapt. So I don't know that there are necessarily more people that have it now. I just think that they're able to identify more people with it now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And do you think there's a problem with patients being prescribed prematurely for medication to help with ADHD?
Well, that's kind of a touchy subject because the medications for ADHD can be misused. They're primarily stimulant medications. There are non-stimulant medications as well, but for the most part, the most commonly known ones are stimulant medications. So if misused, they can be basically kind of act in the body a little bit like speed can. However, if you have ADHD, what the medication is going to do is stimulate the part of the brain that is understimulated, which is kind of the part of the brain that's responsible for executive function. And so it doesn't have quite the same effect. With medication, I personally am a proponent for medication if it's warranted. I do believe because it's a lifelong disorder, learning accommodations and learning how to mitigate the weaknesses and leverage your strengths is really important. So I think if a person chooses to medicate, then I think medication, counseling, and ADHD coaching is a really great kind of trifecta for treatment.
Awesome. Studies show that 1 in 5 adults live with mental illness today as opposed to 1 in 7 adults in 2010. Why do you think there's been a spike in mental health diagnostics in the past decade?
Oh goodness, there's a lot of reasons. Again, kind of like I was saying with ADHD, I think we're able to some of our tools that we've been able to develop can pinpoint things a little bit better. We know a little bit more what we're looking for. I do think that there's an increase in certain things based on our environment and some of the foods that we eat, the chemicals that are in the environment, that kind of thing. Studies have shown that while things like video games and cell phones and that kind of immediate stimulation for the brain, while it doesn't cause things like ADHD and autism and that kind of thing, it can highly exacerbate the symptoms. So it kind of makes things a little bit stronger. So, and another thing is things such as social media and texting instead of calling and that kind of thing. I think our social interaction, while we think it's better now because we're able to just literally pull out our cell phone and text our aunt in England, it's kind of impeded our personal interaction with each other. So we're not able to talk to each other about our problems or just kind of have normal everyday conversations. So I think that lack of social engagement and true social connection has probably increased things like anxiety or depression, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And that goes along with my next question. Do you think that mental health is a key factor in shaping our society today?
Absolutely. Again, kind of going back to, I sound like an old lady saying that social media is the devil, but I really do believe that as we make things easier in our life with technology, social media, texting, you name it, just that immediate gratification we can literally get. I mean, Amazon does overnight shipping and possibly even same day if we can get a drone. I mean, everything is kind of that immediate gratification, and we've also kind of become a very self-focused, self-centered kind of society. So, gosh, there's so many different factors, but I mean, everything down, even down to like child rearing is a little bit different. Instead of kind of setting established rules, there's more of a growing trend of kind of letting children just kind of grow up with very limited rules and limited expectations, and kind of let them feel themselves out as they grow up. And I think there's lots of different aspects involved, but I think mental health is a huge part of our society today.
Awesome. Well, Ms. Bauer, that wraps up our segment here. But I thank you for your time, and I thank you for answering these questions for us.
You're welcome.
And hopefully this sheds more light on the subject of mental health and mental medications. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.